Hi guys, the Metal Maniac back again, and this is going to be my last video for today. This video I'm going to be ranking all of the Iron Maiden albums from worst to best. So, I'll just get right into it. Number 16, the worst Iron Maiden album of all time is not the X Factor, Virtual 11. This is not only the worst Iron Maiden album of all time, but it's one of the worst albums of all time. I mean, this is the second and last of the Blaze Bayley era Iron Maiden albums, and it is horrible. I mean, Iron Maiden started to go downhill for a bit, um like I think it started with No Prayer for the Dying, kind of somewhat not went on with Fear of the Dark because that was pretty good, but then they started really going downhill after Bruce left, and with the Blaze Bayley stuff, and especially with this album, it's just they're just not having that good of a run during the mid to late '90s. It's just horrible. And yeah, I forgot this case is broken. But yeah, I mean, look, Eddie doesn't even look like Eddie. He looks like, I don't know, like what the hell kind of Eddie is this even? Uh, it's bizarre. The album's stupid. I mean, The Angel and the Gambler is the worst Iron Maiden song of all time, and I mean, I guess. The Klansman is great when Bruce Dickinson sings it, but other than that little perk, like the album doesn't have any perks, but it's just bad, and it shouldn't have been made. Now, I don't understand why they got Blaze Bayley in the first place. He's such a horrible choice for a singer for Iron Maiden. He did good in Wolfsbane, uh, but in Iron Maiden, really, like they couldn't get anyone else. Are you guys serious? Like, yeah, it's just horrible, and this album shouldn't have been made. That's number 16, the worst Iron Maiden album of all time. Virtual 11. Number 15, second worst, The X Factor, the other Blaze Bayley album. This one, the only reason why this is not at worst is because I had to put it somewhere in the list, but and then that other one was worse. Um, Still no good songs on the album. I mean, Sign of the Cross is great when Bruce sings it, but yeah. Although I think the Eddie on this cover is worse than the Eddie on Virtual 11. Fucking claymation, like why? And it doesn't even look. This doesn't even look like Eddie at this point. This looks like a hairless, hairless monkey almost. Like that doesn't look like Eddie. Like what the hell is that? And electric chair. I mean, oh, and what the hell is even happening on the cover? Like, is this supposed to be an electric chair? No, the electric chair is on the back. That's a completely different device. What the hell is this? I don't know. It's bizarre. The album doesn't even feel like an Iron Maiden album. It's very uh, dark, but not in like an Iron Maiden sort of way. It sounds like something that would come out from the mid '90s. This is '95, so yeah. Wait, '95? Yeah, 1995. This definitely sounds like something that would come out like dark. That something would come out like trendy dark, like from the mid '90s. That's just a throwaway album. Something just a quick cash grab. But yeah, it's bad. Um, Next up, wait, number 14. A Matter of Life and Death. This was a pretty big disappointment. I mean, Iron Maiden really hyped up this album. If you bought this album first day release, it came with a flag, but this is not the first day release version. This is, I don't know, but it's very long, very boring, and not a good song on the album. There's no good song on the album, but it's just not. as bad as the other two I just mentioned. Yeah. Number yeah, this is number 14. Um, Number 13 is Dance of Death. This what the hell's banging around the house? I don't know. Ignore the banging. Um, Anyway, this, I mean, if I was ranking the cover arts for the albums, this would be the worst, but it's not. It's not. I'm ranking the actual albums, but this one has some promise. I mean, I mean, it is a definitely disappointment, huge disappointment after Brave New World, but it has some good things about it. Like I like the title track, "Dance of Death," that was pretty epic, and Passchendaele. But other than those two songs, this album is very boring and just drawn out and just too long. What the hell's going on out there? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So that's number 13. Number 12, No Prayer for the Dying. This is Iron Maiden trying to go back to the style of the first two albums, the raw production, like raw, gritty style of the first two albums, but failing because there's no Paul Di'Anno. Yeah, Bruce can do he did a okay job, but he's no Paul Di'Anno. Like he can't do the rough, gruff, punky style vocals that Paul Di'Anno could or can. He still alive, so can. Um, yeah, I guess at this point they had so much success that they thought they could do no wrong, and they were wrong because this is a failed attempt at trying to go back to their earlier sound, and it just didn't work. I mean, and uh, yeah, it's just um, let's see, what was the stupid song on this one? Oh yeah, Public Enema number one. Like, what the hell? Like, that's stupid. That's very very stupid. And the song's stupid too, not just the title. Um, are they doing construction somewhere? I don't know what the hell the noise is coming. Where the noise is coming from. Anyway, I don't know if you guys could hear that, but it's like a huge, just like crashing, not crashing, but like almost hammering type noise. I don't know if someone's doing construction or my dad's still fixing the roof. I don't know. Um, so just ignore that. Ignore the whole noise in the background. Anyway, yeah. So this is big disappointment. Nothing much to say about it. Yeah. Number 11 is The Final Frontier. This had promise. I mean, here's the thing. When I first listened to this album, I really, really, really liked it, but it hasn't held up that well, at least for me. I mean, I still really like the Satellite 15 slash The Final Frontier, El Dorado, and Mother of Mercy, but everything else kind of dropped off. Like, I used to like The Alchemist, I used to like Isle of Avalon, I used to like Starblind and The Talisman and When the Wild Wind Blows, but those songs kind of just didn't hold up well, at least in my opinion. This came out in 2010, and oh yeah, this is the 2010 original release. I do have the remastered version that I actually never opened. Oh, there it is. Um, yeah, so uh, you would think that the 2010 version is better production, but it's the same thing. It says remastered, but it doesn't even sound remastered. That's kind of how spotty the sound quality is. Like, I mean, for the first three songs, the sound quality is good, but then it drops off, then picks up. Like, it's all over the place. Yeah, and this sound quality on this isn't better. It's the same. I don't know why they say remastered. It doesn't sound remastered to me. Um, and it's the same artwork, thankfully, because the artwork's really good. But yeah, the only really good thing is the first three songs and then the artwork. Um, but yeah, this is at number 11. It had promise. It did have a good beginning to the album, but it kind of dropped off after that. Great artwork though. Yeah, that's number 11. At number 10. Number 10 is Somewhere in Time. Now, I'm probably going to have a lot of people be pissed off at me that this is so low, but honestly, this is the worst of their 80s albums. It is. It doesn't sound like classic 80s Iron Maiden to me. It sounds like they were very experimental from this album and to um Seventh Son. And honestly, with this one, it didn't work out that well. They added synths to the guitars, like guitar synths, and it made the sound all wonky and just, I don't know. It just didn't. There's something on my screen. I got it off. Okay. It just didn't sound right. I mean, Wasted Years is good, but that's about it. I mean, there's like other songs like Deja Vu, Caught Somewhere in Time, which are okay. But yeah, this album was actually one of my favorites. Back when I first started listening to Iron Maiden. But as my taste in music kind of evolved, it's kind of fell out of favor, and honestly, it hasn't held up well for me. Um, but yeah, they at least they were trying something different, but unfortunately, it didn't work out that well. But yeah, that's at number 10. Yeah, it's at number 10. Um, at number 9 is the Book of Souls. There hasn't been an Iron Maiden album this good since I would say Brave New World. Honestly, yeah, a lot of this. There are some songs on here that do kind of fail. Like, I mean, Speed of Light, Great Unknown, When the River Runs Deep, Tears of a Clown, and Empire of the Clouds are pretty bad. I'd say the worst song on here is Empire of the Clouds. Why? Just here's the thing. It's too long, and they use an acoustic piano. It's boring. It's just everything's wrong with this particular song. Like, this is what really holds the album back the most for me. And here's the thing. Judas Priest did like a very like a very short 1 minute instrumental with a piano, added guitar too, but that worked because they did it really well. It wasn't this long, drawn out like 18-minute damn song. It was a short but sweet instrumental. But here, on this long ass song, it just doesn't work. And yeah, I know Iron Maiden were doing something new again, but this time it just didn't work. It just ended up being a bad song. Um, but there are great songs on this album, though. I mean, If Eternity Should Fail is great. The Red and the Black super catchy. I think it was the single off the album, if I'm not mistaken. I think it was anyway. The Book of Souls is my favorite track from the album. I love the live performance. Unfortunately I missed the tour, but I saw the tour of the video on YouTube, and I love it. It's one of the most epic songs that Iron Maiden has ever done, other than I think Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Although I think it might be better than Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner, in my opinion, in terms of live performance, because this was amazing. Like, I know Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner is great live, but this was better live in my opinion. Um, I like I like how when they brought out Shaman Eddie on stage, Bruce Dickinson just tore out his heart, and yeah, pretty cool. Um, yeah, so overall this album is pretty good. It has some weak points. I would say the major one is definitely Empire of the Clouds, but overall it's a pretty good album. But yeah, it's definitely the best of the I'd say second best of the modern era. Although I for the longest time I was like, please fix the background. I hate plain black backgrounds like majority of the time. But thankfully they re-released this album with a better cover. I think like last year or so. But yeah, that's at number. Let's see. Yes, number 9. Sorry, I'm trying to keep track. Um, That's at number 9. Number 8. I know this is another album that a lot of people are gonna hate me for having this low, but at number 8 is Power Slave. This used to be my favorite Iron Maiden album back when I just like I was still kind of new to metal. This was my favorite Iron Maiden album, but again, just like with some others, it hasn't held up that well, at least in my opinion. It's too flashy for me. Like it's too flashy, too out there, like too I don't know. It it's okay. I mean, it's definitely better, definitely a lot better than the last couple albums I just mentioned. I think the stuff that really puts it at number 8 instead of lower for me would be Aces High, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Power Slave, and Rhyme of the Ancient Mariner. Yeah, like a large majority of this album sucks. Like the middle section just drags on and is boring. But the songs that are good on this album are really good. But yeah, that's Power Slave at number 8. Uh, at number 7 is Brave New World, their best of the album from the modern era. This is interesting because honestly, even though it sounds very typical of early 2000s albums, it's still really good. Like I mean, majority of it holds up. I mean, The Wicker Man is my favorite song from the album. I think it was the only single. I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's the only single. I love how it starts the riff, the dun 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 dun. Dun. Um, Pretty fun, catchy song. Another really good one on here would have let's see, Blood Brothers. I love. It's of course Steve Harris' song. It's basically about him dealing with the death of his father. Um, um, and then Out of the Silent Planet's catchy too. I really like Out of the Silent Planet. And the very end of the song of between the thin line between love and hate, where it's like this extra audio clip that they leave in that at the very tail end of the song. It's just like I guess Nico he missed a drum solo at the very end, and you're gonna hear him say, "Oh, I fucking missed it," and then someone says something in the background, and they all start laughing. But yeah, I love little things like that. I love how they kept that in there. That's hilarious. But overall, it has a really great feel to it. Really great atmosphere, and overall, it's pretty good. Um, Not the best, but still really good to the point where it's higher on the list. Number 6. Hold on. Yeah, number 6 is Seventh Son of a Seventh Son. Their concept album, and they did a pretty good job with it. I mean, I really like it. This was the very first Iron Maiden album that I ever got and never listened to in full. Um, because before this, I listened to a few select songs that was on a YouTube playlist compilation. That here's the thing, I the only songs that I listened to before the first time I listened to this album was like I think The Trooper, 2 Minutes to Midnight, Aces High, Fear of the Dark, um, Power Slave, and I think Run to the Hills. But this is the first time. The first time I listened to this, the first time I bought this album was the first time I listened to an Iron Maiden album in full, and I was very impressed. Like this is great. I love. Okay, so this is a lot better than Somewhere in Time because they not only use guitar synths, but they use keyboards, and I think it sort of because they don't use just guitar synths and they use the keyboards as well, so it kind of balances out the sound more, and it just has a more even sounding feel. And I love the story behind it. It's just an overarching story of good versus evil, the devil versus the chosen one, the moon child. But yeah, overall, really good album. Um, Definitely one of their last absolute great albums from the classic era. Um, let's see. This is number 5. One. Yeah, number 5. Number 5 is Fear of the Dark, an absolutely underrated album. This album does not have Adrian Smith. Instead, it has Yannick Gears, who would be with the band from the album from No Proof of the Dying to this to all the way to now. Even though Adrian Smith would come back later on during right before Brave New World. This is the last album of the first Bruce Dickinson era with Bruce Dickinson before he left for a while. Before the shitstorm of the Blaze Bayley era happened. But yeah, this is great. This is a great album. The cover art isn't by Derek Riggs. I think Derek Riggs, his last album art from the classic era was Seventh Son, and then he left for whatever reason, and he didn't come back until Brave New World. But even then, with Brave New World, that was his last one he did before deciding not to go on with any of the other ones. Yeah, the album artwork's pretty good. I love the fonts here. The songs I really love are Be Quick or Be Dead is awesome. Great intro, one of my favorites. From Here to Eternity, the final song in the Charlotte the Harlot trilogy, is awesome. Very catchy. Let's see. Fear's the Key is really awesome. Chains of Misery is cool. Judas Be My God is extremely underrated. And Fear of the Dark, one of the best Iron Maiden songs of all time. So yeah, this album is awesome. Very underrated. Very underappreciated. Yeah, that's at number 5. At number 4 is Peace of Mind. This is the first album to have Nicka McBrain on drums, and yeah, this is a classic album. Anyway, let's see. I was gonna say something. I forgot what I was gonna say. Oh yeah. So I mean, this album has one of the best Iron Maiden songs of all time on it, "The Trooper." But that doesn't mean it's the best album. You know, I mean, just because it has the best Iron Maiden song, it doesn't mean it's the best Iron Maiden album. The thing that holds this album down a bit, in my opinion, are a few of the songs. Like "Quest for Fire" is horrible. "To Tame a Land's" pretty bad. "Die with Your Boots On" is pretty bad. But other than that, the only other thing I think that holds down the album that isn't a terrible reason is because of Revelations. Now, I really like any of the live versions of Revelations, but the studio version is okay. I think that's another reason that weighs down this album. Is the studio version just is okay. But I mean, Flight of Icarus, The Trooper, Still Life, and Sun and Steel are really good. But yeah, this is at number 4. Number 3, Killers. An absolutely awesome album. It's kind of sad that nowadays the Paul Di'Anno era is kind of being forgotten about because it's being overshadowed by the Bruce Dickinson stuff, both classic Bruce Dickinson era and the second Bruce Dickinson era. But the Paul Di'Anno era is very underrated and very underappreciated. I mean, especially within like the past at least couple years, how it's slowly being forgotten about. But it's Killers is a great album. Let's see. It's an almost perfect album. I'd say Ides of March and Prodigal Son. If Ides of March was taken off completely and Prodigal Son was replaced with Twilight Zone, then this would have been an absolute perfect album. But yeah, nearly perfect album. I'd say the best songs off of here are Wrathchild, Murders in the Rue Morgue, Another Life, Killers, and Purgatory. So yeah, overall, near perfect album. It's at number 3 for a reason. Let's see. Number 2 is their first album, Iron Maiden, the first of the Paul Di'Anno era Iron Maiden albums. This is another almost perfect album. The only song I don't like on this album, I would say, is Strange World. And Remember Tomorrow used to be. I didn't used to like the album, but it's kind of grown on me since. But yeah, this is a really great album. Has a couple of the best singles that like let's see, Running Free, Phantom of the Opera, and uh, Sanctuary. It's not on this version, but those are some of the best Iron Maiden singles of all time. Um, but yeah, I mean, Prowler, Running Free, Phantom of the Opera is a fan favorite for a reason. And Transylvania, a great instrumental, and Charlotte the Harlot, and Iron Maiden. This is such a classic song that even though every other Paul Di'Anno era song's been dropped off the set list for live shows, Iron Maiden is so epic, so awesome, just a great song overall that even the band does not want to take that off the set list. So overall, another near perfect album. So that's why it's at number 2. It's a great album. And at number 1, I guess you guys could have guessed by now, but at number 1 is The Number of the Beast. This is another, like, there's no perfect Iron Maiden album, but the ones that I've just mentioned and this one are near perfect. Classic songs like The Prisoner, 22 Acacia Avenue, The Number of the Beast, Run to the Hills, Hallowed Be Thy Name. I mean, come on. The most epic Iron Maiden song of all time, Hallowed Be Thy Name. It's awesome. I'd say this would have been a perfect album if they would have taken off left Children of the Damned, but taken off Gangland and replaced it with what was the one that wasn't on? Oh, Total Eclipse. If they replaced Gangland with Total Eclipse, then this would have been a perfect album. But it's near perfect. It's definitely the best of the albums. Just has some absolute classic Iron Maiden songs. So much so that it's a legendary album for a reason. There's a reason why this is one of the most influential albums of all time. But yeah, great album. So that's my ranking of the Iron Maiden albums from worst to best. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.